Billy Connolly is, in my opinion, right? Nah, I'm kidding. It's established fact. One of the greatest Scottish comedians to have ever lived. I would say the greatest Scottish comedian. Right? His work all the way back in the day, it still holds up. However, because a lot of the jokes are sort of like esoteric to like Scottish culture, you Scottish people enjoy him more because they relate a lot more to the things that he says. But anyone can enjoy him. I think he's a phenomenal fucking comedian, and he's getting on in years now, and yeah, it's making me nervous. Billy Connolly cleared by Ofcom over a documentary joke. Shock is an intrinsic part of comedy. Yes, yes, it absolutely fucking is. Sir Billy Connolly has emerged victorious after his retelling of a well-known celebrity's filming story in his documentary resulted in Ofcom complaints. So basically, he told a little bit of a joke in the documentary about him. People got really, really, really mad and wrote an angry letter. Right, you know those people, the fun sponges, the scum, the people that live in a house with a lot of cats and have absolutely no fucking friends because they are insufferable fucking losers. Yeah, those ones. The 79-year-old has been a staple to the stand-up comedy scene for decades. However, a recent series of complaints against the Scottish comedian would have landed him in hot water if they had stuck with the government-approved regulatory Ofcom. Ofcom are the what's the nice way to put this? It is the Ministry of Truth, in a way, where there are certain things you are allowed and are not allowed to show on television. Now, there's certain things as well which are fine. For example, you're not allowed to show genitalia on television before 8 o'clock because children might be watching the TV, and that's fine. That's a regulation I'm fine with. But then there's other things where there are certain topics and subjects, etc., that you are not allowed to talk about. And one of the things as well is they regulate offensiveness. And in this day and age, anyone can find absolutely anything offensive. You could tell a fucking chicken crossed the road joke and some cunt in there would find it offensive. Probably a vegan. Over the last few years, Sir Billy Connolly has taken a step back from his historically busy lifestyle of gigs and travel because he's got Parkinson's and apparently it's quite bad. In his recent documentary, Billy Connolly, My Absolute Pleasure, the star talked about his battle with Parkinson's disease and why he wanted a slower pace of life. However, this documentary sparked two fans to complain to the regulating two people, tell them to shut up to the regulating giant over his joke about a cat getting run over. See what right? I know that a lot of you know that whenever I'm about to read an article here on the second channel, I don't read it first. I like to go in for it to be a surprise. Remember how I said there's a bunch of people that have a lot of fucking cats and they're miserable? There we go. That's why they get mad. These are not just cats. They're not just pets. They're my fur babies. However, due to the complaints, the regulator had to look over that segment of the programme, but luckily, for Sir Billy, Ofcom ruled in his favour, which is smashing. That's great that they sided with him when they shouldn't have been fucking investigating in the first place because two people got offended. The complainers took issue with a story about a cat the comedy legend had heard from the Irish actor Liam Neeson. The comedic tale is about a man who accidentally hits a cat while driving through the Highlands, which the Taken actor said happened in 1995 while working on the film Rob Roy. I remember this bit. Is it the one where he hits the cat and he sees it wriggling on the ground and he wants to put it out of its misery? Before we go further, I think it's that bit. It's very encouraging that you can take reality and dress it up and make people fall about laughing, the Daily Record reported. Shock is an intrinsic part of comedy. The shock of the punchline from nowhere just gets people. They love it. A spokesperson from Ofcom commented, "We had two animal welfare complaints on this, related to a joke about a cat being run over. After careful assessment, Ofcom has decided not to pursue the complaints because they did not raise issues warranting investigation." On the positive news, comedy fan at Fume Fox tweeted, "It is great a story and who better to tell it. People need to get a life and stop being offended, and do Ofcom have to investigate when two people complain?" Sir Billy Connolly cleared by Ofcom after complaints about joke in recent ITV documentary. Aisha McIver added her concerns for comedians, two complaints that warrants a review. Comedians have no chance these days. Well, here's the thing is, I actually got no complaints whatever at all about my joke. No one actually called the police whatever, but hey ho, fucking 2-year trial. Now living his more relaxed pace of life in the Florida Keys, he has previously spoken out about how he doesn't feel he would make it as a comedian if he started out now due to his fearless content. And Billy Connolly was a spicy boy, right? But it was more like, because he's very old school, like he was big in like you see 60s, 70s, 80s. That was in like early 90s. Those were like Billy Connolly's like big time. And then he kind of semi-retired after that, but he did a bunch of TV. He was still in the spotlight. He was still in the spotlight, and he still did gigs and stuff like that. But it wasn't as major. He took a wee step back, and I think it was mostly due to health because obviously he's got Parkinson's disease, and he's had it for fucking quite some time. And so basically, if he tried to do it now, nah, Billy Connolly wouldn't be big now. There were so many people that just so many like great comedians. How many great comedians do you think we're missing out on because of this bullshit? Right? How many like just amazing comedians do you think are just not getting into the spotlight because of all this crap? Oh, I can't go on stage and make the jokes I want. Better make the politically correct, nice jokes. Talking to a radio station about if he would be cancelled in the current climate, he previously said, "Absolutely, you can't decide to be fearless. You're either fearless or you're not, and you go about it. Because of political correctness, people have pulled in the horns, but I don't know how I feel about that. I couldn't have started today with the talent I had then, certainly not." Feeling the toll of his Parkinson's, Sir Billy retired from stand-up comedy in 2018. I think Billy Connolly's in his fucking 90s, by the way. And he was still doing comedy, still doing stand-up. Man's a machine with Parkinson's. Like the man is a machine. In his documentary, he revealed that he was finding it difficult and forgetting lines during performances. After being diagnosed 9 years ago, he divulged that he thinks more about death. Oh, fucking hell, that just makes me sad. To lose Billy Connolly would definitely, absolutely be a completely tragic loss. Like the man is the king of Scottish comedy, right? That's undebatable, if you ask me. But I'm sad that they didn't go over the story with the cat. But I vaguely remember it, and I will do my best. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not going to get it word for word, and I might miss out, some of the funny parts. But it was basically there was a man that was driving through the Highlands, and he saw a cat run out in front of his car, and so he slammed the brakes, but it was too late, and he felt the car go over the cat. He goes out and he looks next to the car, and sitting there on the pavement is the cat, and it's twitching and everything, and the thing's obviously, in a really bad way. So the guy goes, "Shit, I can't drive away. I can't just leave it there twitching in absolute agony to slowly die, possibly hours from now. It's not nice, but I need to put it out of its misery." And the guy goes into his truck, comes out with a hammer, and just like bum 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 on the cat's head, kills it instantly. And then the woman came running out the house screaming at him, saying, "You've just killed my cat. Why did you just kill my cat with a hammer?" And the guy's like, "Look, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't see it. I couldn't brake in time. I hit him with a car, and I was just had to put him out of his misery." And she's like, "What are you talking about? That's not what fucking happened." And the guy's like, "Look, look, look. You can even see the skid marks." And then the guy turns and looks at his car and sees another cat that looks exactly the same under the car. Dead. Guy just got out his truck and killed a fucking random cat because the actual cat he hit was under the car. So yeah, that was, and that the thing is, and like that, I'm obviously not telling it exactly the way that he tells it, but people thought to complain about that. Two people got really, really fucking angry and complained about that. A joke. Although I don't know if it was a joke, I think it's a story that actually did fucking happen. But still, it's horrible, it's terrible, but it's funny. Like, I'm sorry, it's fucking funny. But yeah, Ofcom wasting their time over two complaints is complete fucking bullshit. Especially, I mean, don't ever step up to someone like Billy Connolly, right? None of us, right? I don't. Basically, me, like I do stand up and everything. I've done a bunch of gigs and all that type of stuff, man. Like I'm never going to hit like the type of fucking like legendary status that Billy Connolly has held. Like that's both sides of the aisle, right and left. Even though like Scottish comedy is predominantly left wing, and there's little right wing guys need to do their own little gigs separate from everybody else. Like both sides of those aisles, like all of us can agree that Billy Connolly is one of the greats. So leave him the fuck alone.